Welcome to this video, in which I will deal with issues related to water pollution. My name is Hernández Martínez. I am studying the second semester of high school at CBT 149. The project belongs to the subject of English 2, in charge of the teacher María Rocío Villegas Arroyo. Said the above now if we start the video. Water pollution is one of the most worrying problems today. It is considered one of the main causes of death and disease. Water pollution generates water shortage that we humans could use for consumption, but is precisely because of us humans that the water is contaminated. The World Health Organization defines contaminated water as that which undergoes change in its composition until it is unstable. It is said that it is toxic water that cannot be drunk or used for essential activities such as agriculture. This toxic water can be considered as a source of unhealthiness, which causes more than 500,000 annually deaths globally from diarrhea, and which diseases such as cholera, dysentery, typhoid fever, and polio are transmitted. The main water pollutions include bacteria, viruses, parasites, fertilizers, pesticides, drugs, nitrates, phosphates, plastics, fecals, waste, and even radioactive substances. These substances don't always stain the water, making water pollution invisible on many occasions. For this reason, chemical analysis of small samples of water and aquatic organisms is usually used to know the state and quality of the water. When we talk about water, we are not talking about any resource. It must be remembered that it is an essential resource for life on the planet. It is source of our well-being, health, and an essential element for industrial, food, medical, health, and development process in general. At the end of the 18th century, the growth of industrial cities saw that pollution started drastically on all sides, and this brought with it a real problem to maintain adequate and convenient water supplies. Faced with this problem, in the second decade of the 19th century, artificial reservoirs began to be created both in the Europe and North America, which will lead to the supply of more water to cities. But this was basically for industrial use, while home was almost nil. Over time, this server was improved, and as a result it began to reach homes, even become a right.
Water is a basic resource that guarantees the life of all living beings on the planet. However, its scarcity and pollution cause millions of people to have poor access to this much-needed asset. Humans are the main cause of water pollution, which is triggered in many ways: by the dumping of industrial waste, due to temperature rise that causes the alteration of water by reducing the oxygen in its composition, or due to deforestation, which causes sediments and bacteria to appear under the soil and therefore contaminate groundwater. In the same way, the pesticides used in agricultural fields filter through underground channels and reach the consumption networks, and also as a result of accidental spillage of oil. And what are the main consequences of this? Firstly, the disappearance of biodiversity and aquatic ecosystems. Also, humans are harmed by the alteration in the food chain and by contracting illnesses when drinking or using contaminated water. For all this, we must ensure water availability, its sustainable management, and sanitation for all.
Ways to avoid water pollution. Prohibition of polluting chemicals. Use clean and renewable energy. Treatment and purification of grey water. Responsible use of water. Use biodegradable soaps and cleaning products. Recycle oils and heavy metals. Awareness education about water pollution. In conclusion, we have to be aware of the great magnitude of this problem since water is a vital element for the life of every living being. This situation is key warning considering that day by day the reserves of consumable water are depleted, since every day the water is still contaminated. It is very important that measures are taken to reduce this catastrophe, that little by little is leading us to an apocalypse future in which the reservoirs of water that can be consumed are able to be exhausted. The population grows day by day, and this represents a greater consumption of water and once more contamination of the vital liquid. It is necessary to look for alternatives and make people aware of the problem.